Huskies, welcome back to the podcast. We hope your week has been going well. This episode, we are talking about something that can be difficult to discuss. So, as a content warning, this episode discusses sexual assault, mainly regarding awareness and the prevention of it. However, just talking about the subject in any way can be difficult for some people at any given time. So we encourage you to please do what you need to do to take care of yourself, or skip this episode if you wish. As you may or may not know, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. To paraphrase the Sexual Assault Awareness Month website, as long as there have been people who care about making the world a better place, there have been individuals advocating for sexual assault prevention. Movements for social rights in the US and Canada began in the 40s and 50s. Although sexual assault awareness was less prominent at this time, efforts were championed by Black women and women of color. Advocates like Rosa Parks work at the intersections of race-based and gender-based violence. A framework later summarized as intersectionality by advocate and professor Kimberly Crenshaw. More social activism around the issue of sexual assault continued in the 1970s, with larger organizations forming to support survivors. Sexual assault awareness began as 1 week in April, with marches and events, and by 2001, it was Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Today, we are joined by George Brown Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Response Advisor, Aryan Esgandanian, to talk more about this. Hello, Aryan. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Rinsa?
I'm very well, thank you. So first of all, what do you do in your role at the college?
Thank you for having me as a guest for the JBC podcast. So, as mentioned, my name is Aryan. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Response Advisor at the Office of Anti-Racism, Equity, and Human Rights Services. In my role, I'm the first point of contact for sexual and gender-based violence disclosures for George Brown College community members. I provide different options for the complaint process and about confidentiality to survivors. I would discuss about resources such as safety planning, information, and appropriate referrals to JBC members regarding the services offered to survivors both on campus and off campus. During the complaint resolution process, I would provide the appropriate supports for both parties. I gather detailed information about the alleged sexual violence incident from survivors and submit it to the director of ORS or delegate for a determination on whether the information provided engages this policy and triggers the complaint resolution process under the policy.
Okay, so as I understand, you give like the opportunity and the tools to be like in the process of the conflict resolution. Is that correct?
The complaint resolution process, yes.
What does your department do, or how you offer these to students in general?
So the Office of Anti-Racism, Equity, and Human Rights Services promotes fairness, equity, and accountability and transparency at George Brown College. So our office manages human rights complaints, advises and raises awareness on diversity and inclusion. So our ORS team is responsible for matters that fall under the JBC policies and relevant legislations that govern those policies. So human rights discrimination, harassment policy, sexual assault and sexual violence policy, and the protocol AODA accessibility policy, and the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. So our advisors, our role is specifically to provide resources, accommodations. So that's academic accommodations and employment accommodations as well, supports and referrals to different services offered on or off campus for both sexual and gender-based violence and human rights issues.
Thank you for that. So now I understand a little bit better the big picture of the department. So has George Brown always marked Sexual Assault Awareness Month? What does your department focus on when observing this month?
It's great to have initiatives like the Sexual Assault Awareness Month to be recognized. I believe there should be ongoing awareness built around sexual assault rather to have it acknowledged on 1 month. Our office aims to provide equity approaches for survivors. As the Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Response Advisor, I provide training opportunities to JBC community about our sexual assault and sexual violence policy. So this policy is currently under review and it'll be releasing soon. So we are in the process of creating more awareness surrounding it. And I believe in the upcoming months, further details will be provided regarding this.
And are those training that you are talking about is just for like the students or more as the staff of George Brown College?
So the training opportunities are for staff, but we'll be engaging in having conversation about the policy specifically to students and all of the JBC community at large.
That sounds good because in that case, as a student, you know where to reach out and also what it's offered to you as a student in this department and how you are like protected in a way, right?
Of course. And, we don't want to re-traumatize. So when individuals want to disclose information, survivors want to disclose information, we don't want to make that a really bad experience for them as well, right? It's already hard enough to come forward and disclose the information. So we want them to be well aware of the policy and the guidelines and supports that are in place as well.
So according to Google, sexual and gender-based violence is violence committed against a person because of his or her sex or gender. It is forcing another person to do something against his or her will through violence, coercion, threats, deception, cultural expectation, or economic means. When we hear this, we often think in person situation, but a lot of harm is caused through the digital realm these days too. Can you talk about what online abuse might look like and how we might recognize that?
Yeah, so I believe this comes back to consent, and both in person situations or in digital realm, consent is needed. This should be an ongoing conversation between the person you're communicating with digitally, and silence or unclear communication is not consent. Consent cannot be given on someone's behalf. Just because you have consented to a previous sexual activity does not mean you have consented to sexual activity in the future. So you have been threatened or coerced into engaging in the sexual activity, you're not consenting to it. And if you are intoxicated or wasted due to the ingestion of drugs or alcohol, you could not have properly given consent. You can withdraw consent at any time during the course of a sexual encounter.
I think it's good to emphasize the fact of like the someone behalf. It's very important because in that case, you know that you are the one who actually need to give that willingness, is the one who has the consent. So based on that, how do we practice digital consent?
Good question. So as mentioned in the previous question, consent applies to both in person and in digital realm. And consent is permission or active agreement to sexual activity with another person. So one defining feature of sexual violence is the absence of consent and for consent to be present. So you must be able to freely choose between two options, yes and no.
Perfect. So good to know and to also keep in mind those two words that I think are very important to us, yes or no, like it's your right to decide too. Whether it's online or offline, unfortunately, we know that people can cross those boundaries and the harm can occur. Mm-hmm. How we can support survivors who might be your friends, family, or even classmates?
This is a great question. So when survivors disclose information to you, that means there's trust built between you and that individual. You can have a big impact on being one of the supporters for the survivor. And this is a very important piece. And there's an acronym which can be helpful called CARES. So the C in CARES stands for confidentiality, which means it's important that you respect confidentiality and don't share with friends, but talk to a college employee. And A is for avoid questioning. So asking too many questions can be overwhelming and may feel to the survivor that you don't believe them. R is for respect their right to choose. and survivors have the right to choose what actions they will take next. It's important to respect their choices, even if they're not what you think would be the best. E is for empathy. Make sure the survivor knows you believe them and reassure them that they are not to blame for what has happened to them. And S is for seek support. Help the survivor to connect with a sexual violence response advisor, such as myself, who can help them to connect with other important services and plan out next steps. Finally, remember to take care of yourself. Supporting someone who has disclosed to you can be difficult, and it's important to attend to your own needs as well. As the Sexual Violence and Gender-Based Response Advisor, I'm a member of the Anti-Racism, Equity, and Human Rights Services Office, and I can support survivors by helping them to connect with important services such as counseling, medical support, safety planning, and academic or employment accommodations.
Thank you. I think it's very important what you just said. I think I never hear about this acronym, like the CARES one. And I think it's something that we need to always have it in mind, because the fact of being there supporting someone also means the fact of not judging. It's just sometimes listening or being there like for them. So I really like the fact of confidentiality, avoid questioning, respect empathy, and seek support. So I think something that everyone should have it in mind. And also if they need the support, they know who are those support that you can reach out. I think people, as I was mentioning before, I think it's sometimes just being there and having that trust. But also, I think people want to help others. But one question that sometimes can grapple with this is, it is safe to intervene if I see sexual or gender-based violence happening? How me as a bystanders can react in these kind of scenarios?
So as members of the JBC community, we all have a shared responsibility to creating safer spaces. And I think it's best to know the resources that are offered by to bystanders, which can better deal with these scenarios. So the question that comes to mind is, what should I do if I want to prevent sexual violence from occurring? So you would call the public safety and security or police. If you're witnessing sexual violence or suspicious behavior, you'd notify the public safety and security or police. If you see someone add a substance to a person's drink, report instances of technology facilitated sexual violence. So taking or sharing pictures without permission, cyber stalking, or sexual harassment online. Plan ahead and arrange for safe ways for you and loved ones to get home safely. That's another factor as well, and disrupt sexually degrading ideas and challenge the sexism or transphobia you see in your network.
According to the Sexual Assault Awareness Month website, the theme for this year's observance is drawing connections. Prevention demands equity. What does this theme mean to you?
So this theme to me means learning that equity doesn't mean equality. And furthermore, preventative measures that are in place to eradicate sexual violence requires the assistance of all people in the communities. So there are some great initiatives that are produced on and off campus, which we can draw on for those connections. I find collaborative actions are more meaningful and can produce positive change. So taking an intersectional and client-centered approach needs to be extended to survivors so they can feel heard and not be re-traumatized over and over again.
So we already talked about this, but I just want to go over again. So if someone has experienced sexual assault, how they can seek help? So what is those steps that you need to go over?
So if someone has experienced sexual or gender-based violence, they can reach out to our office, and I'm one of the advisors that can support the survivor to figure out what to do next and connect them with other important services and supports, including counseling, safety planning, academic or employment accommodations, and external referrals. And the steps of SAFE, so another acronym, can help in a sexual assault or sexual violence emergency. pregnancy. So S stands for safety. Are you in a safe place? This should be somewhere that the predator of the sexual violence cannot access you and where there are safe and trustworthy people to support you. And A is for assistance. So, do you need medical attention? This may be important if you have injuries. It can also help avoid sexually transmitted infections or pregnancy. A sexual assault care center can help you to collect evidence. And if you don't want to press charges or make a report, this allows you the option in the future. So F is for free will. And so remember, you have the right to decide what course of action is best for you. And E is for emotional support. So it can be helpful to have supports in place to help you. So some good supports might include trusted friends or family members, a counselor, or other relevant professionals. At George Brown College, a sexual violence response advisor like myself can connect with you and provide you with appropriate services as well.
Thank you so much, Aryan. So where can students contact you or your team if they need the support or they have maybe some questions?
Definitely. So this is another excellent question. And JBC community members, which includes students and staff and faculty members, can reach myself through the CVRA at georgebrown.ca or through phone, which they can reach me at 416-415-5000, extension 3450. And our offices are located at Casa Loma campus, room C221, and our waterfront campus, room 230. So the Casa Loma is right near the Tim Hortons, and the waterfront is on the second floor for room 230. And I'd be happy to assist anyone who requires support or resources regarding sexual and gender-based violence.
So one more quick question. Do we need an appointment or we can just go pass by as a walk-in and maybe talk to you or someone else? How is that the process?
It'd be best to send an email and we can book an appointment. If need being, you can also call and leave a message and I'll be quick. So the responses are really quick and I would schedule an appointment with you quickly, but I can be on campus as well, but it would be appropriate if we can schedule an appointment prior to that.
Sounds good. So we have a phone number that we can reach out. We have the email that, if I'm not mistaken, is cbra@georgebrown.ca. And we also have two offices, one at Casa Loma and one more at Waterfront Campus. So please check the show notes for links and the further resources. You're going to have all the notes over there.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Aryan, for talking to me today about this. And unfortunately, this is a topic that we all need to get better understand and hope that these April events and the observances will assist in creating a safer communities and help everyone to get the support that they need. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Students, thank you for listening. Whether you have experience, witnessed, or have questions about sexual and gender-based violence, we hope this episode has been informative and helpful. As I said before, please check the show notes for links to further resources. Until next time, take care, and we hope that you have a good week. Bye-bye.